The Aftershock.
So every single Thursday here, we'd like to bring you the Aftershock. That's the biggest story of the week. And we basically break it down so that you can understand what is affecting the world of crypto right now and what you should understand about it. So this week, Forbes released their 30 under 30 list. It's an annual list that they release. And this year, unlike some years in the past, it used to just be a list of 30 names. Now they've broken it down to a grouping of names under a category. So in this year's 30 under 30, we had a really, really remarkable thing happen. As we said at the top of the show, about 18 names that Chris and I could find. I imagine we probably missed one or two. 18 names on this 30 under 30 list were from the crypto world. That's a huge win for crypto. Okay. Forbes 30 under 30 is a mainstream, very well respected and acknowledged list that's dropped every year. I cannot say enough how cool this is to say that some of these smaller brands are now going to have exposure to a mainstream audience for the very first time. So we're going to run this back for you and give you a little bit of info on the projects and the individuals who are featured in 30 under 30 this year. But Chris, before we get into it, is there any other reason why this headline is really, really impactful for our world?
I mean, this is a BFD. That is a big freaking deal. Okay. Just to put this in perspective, right? Like entering the Hall, if you're a professional athlete and you enter the Hall of Fame at the end of your career, that is a huge deal. It means you are one of the best. Forbes 30 under 30 is arguably harder because at the end of a long athletic career, it's like spans 20 years. All of these professionals who we're about to run through and talk about have accomplished so much, right? Like blowing other people out of the water in this field before they're 30. And a lot of them you will come to see are in their are like 24, 25. It is incredible how much they've accomplished. And it's also hats off to Forbes, right? They get a lot of nominations. That's how they kind of build out the list, they judge it, but they still chose to include so many people, right? And we're looking at 3 now. I think there are another 2 or 3 before we dive into the real meat and potatoes of this. But it is incredible. Hats off to Forbes for, keeping an open mind, right? You don't see much positive coverage of crypto, and they did a fantastic job of not only including people, but doing justice to what they've accomplished.
For sure. So look, there are 3 categories represented on this page. You have art and style, you have media, and you have energy. Now, Chris said there were 2 others. Turns out we were wrong. The projects that they were representing just happened to be named the same exact namesake of crypto projects that are very prominent. Those 2 that really threw us off. We immediately saw DM and got really stoked, like, oh my God, DM's the currency of meta. This is crazy. They already got into 30 under 30. Nope, that's a women's health platform, just so you know. And then the other one was Circle. Don't remember what that was, but it was not the Circle that is behind USDC. So they're not in it, Chris, just so that you're updated.
Unfortunate. It's my favorite stable coin for everyone listening.
The rest of this list, and for the record, I'm a much bigger fan of Magic Internet Money, but these are the 3 categories where we found individuals from crypto represented. Just about everybody else that was named in the finance category. So we're going to break these down first. The first of which, honestly, my favorite of these 3 for sure is Emily Yang. She is otherwise known as People Pleaser in the NFT community, but she's an NFT artist, and she's also the founder of Pleaser DAO. Really interesting projects. Frankly, I really recommend that you go look up her work up on OpenSea. You can just type in her name, PPLPLEASR. Her work is phenomenal. I would love to own one of her pieces one day. She's just a great artist. I think she's also on Foundation. So worth looking at there. But these other 2, Chris, I think that you can probably speak more to Blockworks, but they're both really interesting for their areas.
Yeah, so Blockworks is one that I had to look a little more into, but a really big name in the kind of, crypto world, right? I mean, they're... I honestly don't even know where to start with them, right? Like Blockworks is a major, major company. And if I'm thinking, nope, I was thinking Blockfolio for a second. Steve, you take this because where I was going is a completely different direction.
Yeah, so basically, Blockworks is one of the bigger media outlets. So they would be kind of directly in competition with what we're doing. They focus on education to a degree, but not so much. It's more so about reporting the news. So they're breaking news every single day and sharing insights about digital assets to like millions of investors. So that is what Blockworks does. But these guys are on the cutting edge of things. I think they're also using a couple really unique mechanisms to get news in. So that's really interesting to me. I like the fact that they applied dually. I didn't know that you could do that with Forbes.
I
So
did not either.
hey, that may motivate me to apply dually in the future. So who knows?
Yeah.
In the energy category, Tom Tyree from Stronghold Digital Mining. This one was really cool to me.
Yeah. This is an awesome company and project.
Yeah. So if you didn't if you can't tell from the title, digital mining, they mine Bitcoin, they mine Ethereum. They are now a bigger player in the space. They have officially IPO'd. The reason he got on the list is because he helped them with that process. But the really cool thing about Stronghold is they're doing it green. So they actually took one of the biggest energy disasters in Pennsylvania and across like the last 10 years and were able to convert all of that waste into energy that they could recycle for digital mining purposes. Really dope project, in my opinion. I think it's really, really cool that he's getting acknowledged.
Oh, it's awesome. And for those who don't know, right? Obviously, the topic of environmental impact comes in all the time when discussing, why crypto is bad or why people are against it. They don't want to harm the environment. Well, fun fact, it really is only Bitcoin mining that's actually bad for the environment because of the way it works. It requires an ungodly amount of energy to mine a single coin, let alone several. And what they're doing is essentially trying to bring it carbon neutral, which is awesome, right? Because it's besides the fact that it's going to help the environment, it also is just another kind of positive and bonus that's going on, right? You're seeing all this innovation happen incredibly quickly, and it's solving a very important issue in crypto, which is the insane energy consumption. And the nice thing here is currently most of the Bitcoin mining operations, I think globally, are outside of the US. But by starting this company in the US, by having it basically all here, it opens up the space for future investment into crypto mining within the United States, which is awesome for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, no, it is very, very cool for us. Rest of the world,
Sorry.
get on level. All right, step up. Hopefully that did not offend any of our fans in France. Bonjour to you. Anyway, let's move on to the next category because that is our three represented categories. If you get a second before we get into this, after you're done watching this magnificent stream on YouTube or listening to it on a recast through your favorite podcast platform, do me a favor, go up and check out Pleaser DAO's website because I just remember this before we got off the page. Pleaser DAO's website is wild. Like really one of the best designed websites I've seen in a minute. It's trippy as all hell. Worth visiting. Don't do it during the stream, please. We've got a lot of shit to talk about. So as you can see on screen right now, crypto clearly commands Forbes finance category. Clearly. Okay. I think we've got, if my ability to do math here is correct, we've got 12 names on screen, and that's the ones that we were able to pull out. As we said, there are likely other names that we missed. But if you're among those names, just know we love you as well and come on to our podcast. We would love to interview you. But we're going to break down a couple of these for you as we go through, and we'll kind of start at the top and work our way through. So you may be familiar with some of these logos if you're joining us on YouTube. Alameda Research, really big one. Okay.
Unreal. This
Yeah.
is, for those who don't know, originally founded by Sam Bankman Fried, the
Shocker.
founder and CEO of FTX, the exchange, which was formerly Blockfolio, right?
No. So FTX is what it's always been. FTX acquired Blockfolio and it was
Got
absorbed.
it. Okay. But yeah, nonetheless, Alameda Research, essentially what they're doing is they are a financial research institution, but for crypto. And the cool thing and the reason that these two, so Caroline Ellison and Sam Trabucco, sorry, the co-CEOs of Alameda, the reason they got in is because they found a way essentially to, I think it was either sell their data or something along those lines, where they've increased essentially the revenue of this company by like $100 million a year by literally just repurposing information they were wasting. So really, really cool. As a data analyst, I love to hear it and love to see it.
Yeah, I mean they're a really really strong group. You're right though. Like this was this original, a true OG SBF project, and frankly anymore in crypto, I'm just like, okay, well, like what didn't Sam Bankman-Fried like start? He's been involved in so many projects at this point, and frankly, I'm shocked to not see him included in this list because I believe he's
Yeah.
in his 20s.
He he got on it when in I think 2017 or 2019.
Oh well, that would
He's
make sense when he
yeah,
was a
yeah,
teenager or something.
yeah. No, he's currently 25. For those who don't know, he's oh, and the cooler thing about him, side note here, sorry we're getting sidetracked. The cooler thing about him is he is what he calls like a functional altruist or something, where he's going to make as much money as possible in his life with the express purpose of just donating that money back to causes he cares about. He essentially wants to die at a net zero. He doesn't want to leave an inheritance. He wants to just make a ton of money and then support causes he cares about. So really, really cool guy, and puts me to shame as he's about a year older than me, 2 years.
Well, look, he's younger than me, so I don't know what that says to you. Look, let's carry it forward. Either way, these are the co-CEOs of Alameda Research doing great work in that space. But then you also have a director of project management from Fidelity Digital Assets. This is really unique to me because you don't necessarily see directors making the 30 under 30 very frequently. And I didn't quite get to understand why his work was so important over at Fidelity Digital, but I'm assuming it's like he's in charge of like paving the way for Fidelity Digital Assets to really take off.
That
That
was
is that
my
is my base
understanding.
understanding.
Yep.
Okay, so we understand it the same.
Yes, we are in agreement.
Yeah. So congrats, Ben. You are now working with the biggest financial institution in the world and kicking butt. So
Also, if you could let me invest my 401k into Bitcoin, that would be great.
right. Um, the next one on the list is Ophelia Schneider, who is the co-founder of 21 Shares. So basically, what 21 Shares does is they produce, a, I think it's a small group. I think it's 6 physically backed ETPs where you can invest in like a crypto portfolio. Um, is this the one that was ARK Invest tied?
It was not. I will explain that later.
Okay, perfect. So let's carry this one forward unless you had something you wanted to add on 21 Shares.
I'm not that familiar with 21 shares.
Fair enough. Let's carry this one forward. There she is. I knew
Uh-huh.
I would find it. Okay. Elena Natalinski. Hopefully I didn't butcher your last name.
That's how I would have pronounced it too. So sorry in advance, Elena, if you ever watch this.
Yeah. And just for the record, I want it on the record here. If any of you listeners or viewers, if you're joining us on YouTube, happen to know Elena Natalinski, we would love to have her on the podcast
She's
because
very cool.
not not only, and this is not me fangirling or anything, not only is Ironfish a really really cool L1 privacy blockchain, go look at their tech some other time. The reason she made this list is because she was apparently a co-signer with Cathie Wood on the ARK Invest Bitcoin spot ETF that was proposed, and she's not even like working at ARK Invest from what I understand.
No, I think
It's
Cathie
really
Wood
cool.
or one of Cathie Wood's people essentially headhunted her. So
Okay.
Cathie Wood is like the billionaire, lots of money. She's the capital to make the SEC happy. Elena is the crypto knowledge to also make the SEC happy. So she is really cool, and not to knock anyone else, but honestly helping drive mainstream adoption more than most of the people on this list.
Yeah, especially the other two on this page. Just kidding. These are two of the biggest brands in the crypto space right now. The next of which is from the likes of Ronale Rumberg, who is the co-founder of Audius. And if you are not familiar with Audius yet, I don't know what rock you're sleeping under because they are trying to become the decentralized Spotify. They had a massive deal earlier in the year that we covered when they joined forces with TikTok and got like a dollar price boost out of that. I think they went from like a buck to 225 or something like that, and haven't looked back since. Um, I love Audius. I think they're doing really, really great work. Um, and to see that like he's really challenging the paradigms in the music industry makes me really happy, because ultimately we're going to see the music industry be forced to adapt to crypto more and more as time goes on. And I think that's probably going to give the artists a lot more freedom and a lot more credit and the ability to earn more without having to work in so many middlemen.
Absolutely. And one thing that comes to mind is it's interesting, right, that they call themselves or they want to be the decentralized Spotify when they're actually becoming more of like the decentralized title. Title, you may remember we talked about earlier in the show because they are now under Block, aka the new Square. What Title was, it was a project about 10 years ago now. Jay-Z was like the leading person for it. And essentially his goal was to get artists on this platform, but instead of, only getting a cent or something for like 10,000 streams, which is essentially what the conversion rate is, they would have gotten the bulk of it, like 95 plus percent of it. And that is my understanding more what Audience is trying to do is give the real agency and power back to artists, right? So give
Yep.
them the bulk of the capital the platform earns from plays and streams, give them the ability to market and kind of record their music and then publish it themselves without the need for a record label.
Yep. That, and they're also enabling artists to start using music NFTs. So a lot of really cool stuff going on there with Audius. There was something that you had just said. I'm just missing it. It was with Title. The thing that's different about Title to Audius that I thought was kind of interesting about Title back when I originally heard about it was their entire value prop to why they could pay the artist more is because they were going to be streaming lossless music. So basically, the analog version, so that you're not having to hear it with like digital meltdown when you're like distilling it down to like whatever that would be. I think it's like a 196 kbps. Any,
Interesting. I
anyway,
didn't know
sorry,
that.
that's the old music brain of mine coming in. But yeah, that was the really cool thing about them back then. But Audius is taking out middlemen completely. Now, speaking of middlemen, Alex Atalo made the list, who's the co-founder of OpenSea. OpenSea is the official middleman of the NFT world. They are basically eBay allowing people to go and sell NFTs peer to peer. I would say this is really, really cool. But at the same time, I'm sitting here being like, you guys don't deserve to be on this list right now, because OpenSea has pissed off the entire NFT community across the last 3 or 4 months, given conflict and scandal after scandal. But look, he's partially responsible for giving us the very first NFT exchange, so we do need to be grateful to some level. Any comment on this one before we keep going?
Not at all.
Look, all joking aside and all of my angst aside, this is actually a really big deal. They in the finance category, like being able to say that like you founded very first NFT exchange of note that's doing trillions of dollars in volume every month. It's a big deal. So the fact that Alex got on here, big ups to him. Next up is one that you may have heard of on a recent episode is Antonio Giuliano, who is the founder of DYDX. DYDX is a decentralized exchange protocol that was launched earlier this year on layer 2 using ZK rollups. They're on the Polygon network specifically, and from everything I can tell about it, the platform is legit, like really, really, really well built, and a lot of respect and a lot of total value locked, increasing across like the last couple of months, especially.
Yeah.
Chris, any comment to add on that one?
No, it's just echoing what you were saying. It's an incredible project, and there is a very good reason that Antonio is included on this list. I will leave it there.
Perfect. Well, then next one that we have is kind of similar because, as I understand it, they are also built on Polygon. But this is Slingshot, which is a decentralized trading platform. I love it when I can't talk. Um, so yeah, they're using Polygon as their base layer and scaling through Arbitrum. It's an interesting project. I don't really see them as standing out in the industry if I'm being critical, but I need to understand more about this project. I just think it's really cool that they also made the list while you have other dexes making the list.
Yeah. Aggregators are actually something I only learned about a week ago. They're a really cool, really interesting concept, and I learned about them researching Solana for a video I did on our YouTube channel. Go check
I,
that out.
I was about to say, and I think you can go check that out right now. Well,
Yeah,
not right now, after we're done streaming. Anyway, Tegan Klein, another really phenomenal name on this list. She is a co-founder of a company called Edge and Node. Edge and Node, for those that don't know, which I imagine is everyone, is actually the original team behind the graph, which Chris hates, of course.
do
But
not like it. I have beef.
to me, what she's done in terms of creating an indexing protocol is unheard of. It needs to be done better. I think that they've got a number of improvements that are already scheduled in their roadmap, but her work in the industry and also like being somebody that young women can look up to in this community is really, really awesome to me, seeing that she's on the 30 under 30. Any other things to add on Edge and Node before we keep going?
That's all for me.
Alrighty. Then into the next part of the list, we have Justin Woodward, who is the co-founder of TaxBit. TaxBit is a crypto tax reporting software that automates the process of like reporting all of your taxes in the crypto world. Chris, what do you know about Justin?
I know very little about Justin, but I know a lot about TaxBit. For those who don't know, CryptoCurrent actually has a tax sponsor. We have CryptoTrader.tax. If you need help with your crypto taxes, go check them out because I'm pretty sure it is free up to a certain amount of transactions. TaxBit is similar. It is another crypto tax software. But as far as I'm aware, and the big difference here and what's cool is if you pay an exorbitant amount of money, they actually have CPAs on staff who will go essentially line by line through your yearly crypto taxes and help you. But again, you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money. That's all I know though. It is a really cool company. All of these crypto tax assisting companies are because they are doing work that quite frankly most CPAs would have no idea where even to start.
Oh yeah, and look, there's a couple really interesting things to me about TaxBit. So I want to share just a few of them, and this is taken straight from Forbes.com on his profile. But basically, what TaxBit is doing is they're giving enterprises real time insight into taxes on crypto and equities. So their client list includes the IRS, and then they've also raised 230 mil from Tiger Global. So they have reached like a $1.3 billion valuation and also are based in Utah, which I don't know many like crypto companies that are based in Utah. So hopefully that is a burgeoning crypto community. I don't know if it is or not, but I still think it's pretty cool. So let's keep going. TRM Labs, they are in charge of crypto compliance. So they have a number of different compliance functions, and their co-founder Raul Reina was acknowledged on the list this year. Do you know anything beyond that?
Yeah, so what TRM Labs does is actually kind of similar to TaxBit, whereas TaxBit is focused on, investors, consumers, etc. TRM Labs actually works with the IRS. They have this, crypto compliance software, but they help essentially track where digital assets go. And so they can basically it's like a little anti-money laundering, a little anti-tax evasion, all kind of wrapped up into one. And I'm sure there are people who are going to watch this and be annoyed, but it's a good thing we have this because, again, one of the biggest complaints or kind of arguments used against crypto is money laundering. But TRM Labs is actively kind of working with the government to solve that and show that, hey, look, it's not really an issue. And the more that, crypto taxes are reported and TRM Labs software is used, the more people will come to realize that. So they are doing a great job. So hats off to Raul and everyone else on the list.
The next two, another dynamic duo, the co-founders of Modern Treasury, Sam Aarons and Matt Marcus. I really think that Modern Treasury is really cool. I didn't know about them before 30 under 30, but what they're doing is they're trying to essentially do what XRP was intended to do while XRP is being sued. It's quite interesting. They're trying to create money movement APIs, so create new mechanisms for wiring money and doing ACH transfers and what's the other acronym that I'm forgetting? RTP transfers, all of that type of stuff. They're trying to bake into a single API and web app, and then they're also handling another piece through like the reconciliation of payments. So a lot of really cool stuff that they're doing over there. Um, did you know anything else in particular about Modern Treasury? Or am I
Nope, you covered it all, I believe.
sweet? I love it when I do that. The That of course rounds out the entire list. So again, you have a ton of diversity across this year's list, um, representing every corner of the crypto world. To be honest, I think it's very well represented. I do wish that there were a few more female names on here, to get like more equal and equitable representation. But again, these female founders are definitely inspirations to like young women in this space and will continue to be for years, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and I mean the cool thing about it honestly is if you think about it, right? Obviously Forbes is going to try and make things more balanced because there are a lot of women in all industries doing incredible things. But crypto tech in particular are traditionally male dominated, and to see as many as like I think we had what like five women total on this list, four or five women total. That is unreal to have that level of balance, compared to other industries, especially one that's historically male dominated. So hats off to all the women that popped off and have accomplished so much well before I think either Steve or I will.
Well, they're doing good stuff. Let's not get carried away here. All right. So that's that's going to wrap up the aftershock for us this week. If you enjoyed what we covered here and you want to learn more about any one of these projects, guys, let us know in the comments or get at us on Twitter. Please, we really do want to make sure that we're making these segments especially educational. But what'd you do, Chris?
I don't know.
You're just changing the stream, man.
There we go. I figured it out.
That's fine. Get at us on Twitter. Hit us up. We want to make sure that we're covering the stuff that you guys want to learn more about. Otherwise, we're just going to continue teaching, generally speaking, across the industry to help you become better, more understanding of crypto. Let's go with that.